is time. The mozzarella cheese sticks are out, and it's game week for Ohio State at Indiana Saturday at 3:30. We are in the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters to get ready. It is a fun, casual joint, and it is a fun, casual conversation with Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter, Bill Landis, and I am Austin Ward. And on top of that, Ohio State has a starting quarterback, Bob.
Oh, they do. Well, someone was going to start the game.
Well, yeah. They could have put both out, right? They could have. Yeah.
Both, neither, Lincoln Keenholz. I mean,
That'd have been interesting.
There's a bevy of options. How much Ryan Day wanted to troll everybody, but I think it was kind of like we talked about and expected. It was going to be Kyle McCord, and then there's going to be, I believe, heavy rotation. And I don't know if that's 2 series, 3 series, and then the next guy gets 3. Then they play it more of a feel in the second half. But I believe both guys are going to get a chance to start. And they want to see what Devin Brown can do, who's a little more of maybe a gamer, live rep guy. And I know Urban hated the term gamer, but as a quarterback, it's tough to get a feel for what a guy can do when they never can get touched. They never do a live rep ever in practice.
Black non-contact.
Yes. So if you're a guy that can make people miss, you can buy some time, you have a better pocket feel, like that's going to be more apparent and it's going to show out more in the game. So I think if that's the case and that's what people are looking at, well, you'll get a chance to potentially see that from Devin Brown. I would say late in the first quarter, early second quarter, possibly.
Jay-Z, as someone who's been through a quarterback battle at Ohio State, what do you make about the way that training camp has played out and then getting to this situation where it's not definitively over and both guys will have an opportunity, as Bob said, against Indiana in some capacity?
Hey, I'm a little surprised. I thought Kyle would take this and run with it. Just as a guy who's been here, I mean, I was looking today. I mean, played against Akron, 13 of 18, 300 some yards. Like he's been in there. I thought he would take, a little lead in this going early in camp. He didn't. Devin Brown came to play, off that little finger surgery he had or whatever it was, and he was back in camp showing him what he can do. If they're so close to each other, I mean, it was just so different back in my day because we were 2 different quarterbacks our sophomore year. I feel like these guys are pretty much the same type of quarterback. I don't think you're getting one guy who's going to make all these plays and run around. I think they both have good pocket presence. I think they both can make guys miss. I don't think you're going to be running the read option with them or, something like that, but they haven't separated. And so I understand what Ryan's doing, probably saying, hey, these guys haven't separated. We have 3 games to go and figure this out. Like Bob talked, get some live reps because all camp long they've had Jack and JT coming off the edge. They can't sit back in the pocket comfortably. We don't know what it's going to look like when they are being able to get hit, who's going to make those plays and who's going to be able to get out of trouble. So, I imagine they're looking at these first 3, just camp went the way it did. Nobody really separated. Kyle's looked better the last couple of weeks, making those routine plays. Let's give him the start. I don't know how they're going to run it. I hate the 2 series deal as a quarterback. I just tell me I'm going to get the first quarter or, tell me, so I have an expectation of maybe being able to get in the game a little bit and get a feel for it before I'm yanked out. I think last time I had one of those, we went 3 and out 2 times in a row, had a couple bad things where we could have got the first down, but didn't. And then it's like, I didn't play again until third quarter, right. And it's just, that's tough and, unfortunate, but it is what it is as well. I mean, I think Kyle will go out and do what he does. I don't know how long or what they do there. I guess it's early. Maybe they just do series to give them both, some action early on. I'm hoping
these series are more than 3 plays.
Well, you hope, but I mean, if you get 1 or 2 things go, like Gonzo dropped I can still remember it against Texas. Dropped the ball, on a 3rd and 5, and it's something he doesn't ever do, and it just happened. And then I'm off the field for the rest of the game, basically, in a way. So, things can happen. You do hope that the series are longer. They should be longer. You're going against an Indiana team who's not very good. I don't think their defense, they've lost a lot of players that they had that were actually somewhat leaders on the defensive side last year. They're pretty depleted, so I think we're going to be able to do whatever we want, and I don't think it really matters what that is, but you want Kyle to get that. He's getting this nod. You want him to go out and just give him. So it almost feels like, I did start that game instead of, man, I had 2 bad series and, got ripped out for the rest of the first half.
Bill, so Ryan Day, when he talked on Tuesday, didn't say specifically what that plan will look like. I got the sense that it would be longer than 2 drives, not guaranteed, because he wanted wanted Kyle McCord, I guess, to not feel like he could only make 1 mistake and get pulled, or that you have a definite amount of time you're going to be in there and you press maybe to make something happen. What sense did you get from that conversation? What do you think maybe we'll see on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you make a good point about not kind of putting a clock on it for the player because you don't want them to have that in the back of their mind as they're playing. I think Bob is probably on or close to what it might look like in terms of first quarter, second quarter. Now, is that a hard line? Probably not. Like, certainly if a drive carries into the second quarter.
Pull them out. Bring them in relief.
In the middle of the drive, let the other guy finish it off. No, I think you do want to allow them time to play through stuff, good and bad, right? If Kyle McCord throws a touchdown, well, let's see if he can get a rhythm and throw another one. If he, throws an interception and they go 3 and out, like, let's see if he can bounce back from that. Don't pull him out at the first sign of adversity. I don't think Ryan Day is going to do that. So I'm envisioning more of a quarter by quarter kind of approach. Does that mean each guy's going to get his own? Like, I don't know. I think the game's probably going to transpire in a way where you can kind of do whatever you want, as Jay-Z said. As long as it's not series by series, and as long as Ryan Day doesn't say, like, hey, you get the first 3, he gets the next 3, do with it what you will, because I don't think that is the best way to go about it either. But he's never done this before, Ryan Day. Like he said that. This is uncharted waters for him. So, and he didn't really let us in on sort of who he's talked to try to figure out how to go about it. So I'm very interested to see what he does. I'm excited to like have the evaluation for ourselves too. Like,
so you talked to Brian Kelly about it, I heard.
Yeah, we've talked so much about this, and like,
he's a great resource.
It's been piecemeal with the information. It's like we're finally at a place where we can see it for ourselves and see how they both operate.
Both of you guys, Jay-Z, you saw practice about a week and a half ago. Bob, you live inside the Woody, so you sometimes see practice as well. People ask me this question a lot, and I only saw 7 practices, and I feel like they are not as different as people make them out to be. Athletically, arm strength, all down the road. At least it's not a conversation where you're talking about, let's say, Justin Fields versus Dwayne Haskins. Like,
no.
What have been your impressions on that? How have you answered that when people ask you, like, what's the difference? Like, what sets them apart?
Maybe Devin is a little more of a fluid athlete, but he's gotten a little bit bigger, so it's not like he's, this wiry guy that's running all around. It's interesting. They put their stuff up like on the boards, all the position groups, and they have, bench press, pull ups, push ups, sit up, or no, you got sit ups. Their 40-yard, their top speed. I don't need to do a 40, like top speed, 10-yard dash, all these different measurables, and then they have them, spot charted. Gold is elite, red is, good, blue is poor, and like both of the guys,
bad dude.
Well, I mean that's just what they're. Some of it's just physical attributes. And, some of the, like, you look at Kyle's versus Devin's, and they look pretty similar. I think it was crazy. Like, Devin had a higher top end speed, but not by much. Kyle, I think, had a better 10-yard. Like, you look at this stuff, like, they're pretty comparable. Maybe this guy's a little more fluid. I did see Kyle did 27 pull-ups, and I don't know if that's accurate.
That's impressive.
One of the strength coaches was justifying. I want to see these reps, and I want to make sure that we
over a day or at one time, one set.
Xavier Johnson did 50.
Oh my god!
And Kenny Parker counted them, and Kenny doesn't mess around.
Kyle's upper body does look way different than it did 2 years ago.
I mean, he's a lot stronger. I'm like 27.
Impressive.
Xavier goes, I did 30, then I rested, and then I kind of grinded him out. I'm like, I have more confidence in doing 50 than Kyle doing 27. But I mean, you know what? I both the guys I trust the spot of these. So I look at him like, all right, like Kyle's.
It wasn't like he was in there pushing him up to get to 27. I got you.
So I'm saying it's not like his 10-yard is slow and Devin's is fast. Like they're just everybody's got some different attributes of what they kind of work with. Maybe Devin's a little more fluid than Kyle is as a runner, but if you guys watch if in the quarterback run game, both of these guys are more than capable runners, and you will see that. And both of them are physical. They're strong. They're tough. They've got some explosion. Maybe Devin's got a little more wiggle, but Kyle's maybe a little bigger. I mean, they're very similar. They're very similar in what they can do. I mean, every player is going to be a little bit different, but like you said, this isn't an apples and oranges comparison. I mean, it's like, what type of apple do you like best?
Yeah. Granny Smith.
I mean, some people.
The only answer, right?
I mean, I'm
Honey Crisp.
It's a matter.
Honey.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's a matter.
good. I don't know what I eat.
Some people like crab
whatever
apples.
the wife gets.
Crab apples.
Some people do. Some horses
grew up with them.
Jim Harbaugh said he eats
We
crab apples.
used to throw them at people back in the day.
You can't trust anything Jim Harbaugh says.
He's a victim. When you go out there and be a voice for the voiceless, there are people that want to tear you down.
Want to bring you down.
Remember
That's
that.
right.
Voice for the voiceless. The voiceless college football player out there. Now we're making money and have 1 million followers on social media.
Is he becoming sentient? Like, how can I get people to stop talking about the suspension? I know I'm going to go out and say we're going to revenue share with players. No one else asked me anything else.
Even outside of that, I go, I don't necessarily disagree with his comments,
No.
but I go, the voice for the voiceless. He's like standing up for standing up against human trafficking. I mean, college athletes, while they maybe should deserve a cut of revenue, I don't know if I would exactly put them as a voice for the voiceless.
We saw Blake Corum's suit at Big Ten Media Days.
Yeah.
He's got a voice.
He's got plenty of
And
voice.
he's got a little jingle in his pocket, I would say.
Yeah, guy's a psycho.
All right, let's set aside the quarterbacks for a minute, if we can. There is a game on Saturday, Big Ten opener. I've said that I think just from watching them, you guys have played in them. You know how hard it is to get ready and go out and play this physical, fast game for the first time. There's rust. There's new teammates next to you. What's it like to prepare for the opener once you get to this point? And why is it sometimes take a little bit of a moment to get into a rhythm?
Well, because you haven't played football against another team. And so, people can make fun of the NFL preseason. Generally, week one of the NFL season looks a lot better than week one of college football. Did you see week 0? I mean, Ryan was talking about it, like just the missed tackles, turnovers, penalties, just sloppy ball.
That was just Navy.
Yeah, just lack of execution. And listen, you can say what you want. Those are supposed to be the finest, some of the finest individuals in America. They may not be the greatest athletes, but as far as making mistakes, that's not
they
something.
typically are buttoned up and they make the plays that they're supposed to make.
If they get there, they'll make a tackle.
They just might not get there all the time.
They're not gonna be holding. They're not gonna jump off sides. They're not gonna put the ball on the ground. And like you see those things, it's just a function of you're practicing against each other, but you haven't really played as much as you want to have a scrimmage and simulate stuff. The quarterbacks have never been live. So like, how can you actually, those guys, that's a whole nother element.
Yeah.
You start getting some pressure on them. I mean, ball gets slapped out of their hand. Why? I mean, I know they do the drills and work through pushing through, but like they've never had anybody wrap them up and grab them. Like, you got to pin the ball to your chest to make sure you're not coughing it up.
Yeah, I just remember back in the day, always looking forward to it because you get so tired of seeing same people on the practice field every single day. And especially as an defense has seen you for a couple of weeks. So they're calling everything out. They know what you're doing. They play to that. And so you always look worse than you think you should in practice. And it's always just nice to go against somebody fresh. Depending on who you're playing, we went against Antonio my first start and he had left us. So I was quite worried because I'm just like, he knows everything about us and he knows how to attack us, so that was different. But, in a game like this, I think Ohio State is going to be excited to go out and get some fresh blood. That offensive line is probably going to say, this is going to be a better day for us than practice is because we're going against, Ohio State's defensive line in practice. So, I think it's going to be exciting. I think the kids are pumped to get out there and, slow starts is what it is. It's just nerves of getting out there and being in front of a bunch of fans and being on TV and all that stuff. They'll settle down and get into it.
Bill, we've seen that when Ohio State's had to go on the road, that you play, especially against a conference opponent, it can get a little wonky early. Eventually, the talent generally settles in and pulls ahead. But I've been saying it, and maybe even hopefully that I'm wrong, and everybody comes out ready to go on Saturday. But that wasn't the case against Minnesota 2 years ago. That wasn't the case in the previous visit or 2 trips ago to Indiana on a Thursday night in 2017. On down the road, Navy, Virginia Tech. You may well be trailing at halftime.
It wouldn't surprise me. I don't think. I guess I would say that like Minnesota was a pretty veteran team that had a lot of continuity, so that probably didn't work in Ohio State's favor. I can't remember the makeup of Indiana, but I know they had some veteran guys, especially a quarterback and receiver, who were making a lot of plays in that game. Playing a service academy, if you want to go back to 14, I think generally puts you at a disadvantage in the opener unless you're Notre Dame this year. So yeah, I think there's going to be some
Xander Diamant.
No, I think it was Richard Lego.
Richard Lego back then.
That's right.
Lego
Miami.
Yeah.
He had the finest half of his career.
Xander was
20. You were 21.
Yes.
Yeah, what a loser.
Yeah, psycho behavior. So it wouldn't surprise me, I guess, if Ohio State does start a little slow. But Indiana, what's the number? 23 transfers there. Like
25. I thought I heard.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about this team. I tried to ask Zach Osterman about them. He covers them for a living. He's like, I don't know anything about them either. So I think that this Indiana team is a little bit of a different animal than what Ohio State has seen in these openers in the past.
All right, well, we finally have a game, so we can finally get into some Buckeye leaves. We are looking ahead. Someone who needs to shine, Bob, against Indiana on Saturday. Someone you're really excited to see play.
I'm excited to watch the quarterbacks play. I would like one of those guys to shine.
I would like to give a Buckeye leaf to one of the quarterbacks.
I mean, I would hope that one of them earns one. Maybe they both do.
Let's hope so.
I would say I'm excited to kind of see Sonny Styles out there, with what they're going to do with him. Everybody's been waiting on this. We got to see him at the end of last year a little more, what he ultimately looks like. I mean, kind of the secondary in general. I don't think Indiana has an offense that you're going to write home about, but how they deploy Sonny, how he moves around, what his impact is ultimately on the game. I mean, he has all the physical attributes you want for just about any position, and we'll see what he's able to do with it.
I mean, I don't think they're going to be crazy offensively, but Cam Camper is a guy who you got to keep an eye on. He, was on pace for 1,000 yards last year receiving. Is our secondary going to be up? That's at least one guy.
Jay-Z,
I think
bring in the heat this week.
I think I would like to see Burke or whoever's going to be our guy this year go on him and just say I want him all game long and see how that goes. But I'm excited to see the defense play. Everything we've heard has been great. I'm excited to see them just pin their ears back and get after these guys. But
you're just going to schlag it this week?
Yeah, I guess it's the first week. I'm so excited, and then I'm going to give one to the entire offense too. Let me go down the line.
All gas, no brakes.
I think running back's going to have a big game. I think we might have 200-yard rushers in this one. I think that's something that he's going to want to come out and just kind of pound them and see where that offensive line is on the run blocking, which is going to make things easier in the pass blocking. It all kind of works together. So I think we have 200-yard rushers. Whether that's Trey coming back and he's fully healthy and he explodes, Evan Pryor maybe getting some run here, in the second half or whatever, because they got a lot of guys that can go in and get some experience. So it could be a good one. Yeah, Chip. I mean, gosh, they're loaded. But I was watching the Michigan game last night, and Chip Train was just running over people.
Yeah,
like he didn't play all year, and
he's a handful.
Give him the ball.
It's insane.
So, I was thinking running backs too. I think like Travion Henderson specifically, I think is going to have a pretty big game this weekend. I think that's protecting the O-line. I think it's negating some of the pressure that we expect Indiana to throw at them. Try to confuse a new quarterback, new offensive line. Just run it down their throat. I think that's where they got themselves in trouble a couple of years ago when the Justin Fields game when he threw 3 picks. They probably should.
Did he throw 3 picks in that game?
Yeah. They probably should have just ran the ball down their throat the entire time.
Gosh, I was on the side. I don't remember it being that bad.
They did that a little bit last year too. They ran it on them pretty good, right? They didn't blitz nearly as much because they were terrible, but
they were very scared. They sat back.
Yeah, Justin threw 3 picks in that game. I don't think he was on 2 feet when he threw any of them, but he threw 3.
That was after he had like 3 games of no incompletions though, or something, wasn't it? So I think he was pressing a little bit.
He was trying to put on a laser show. A big rushing day, spearheaded by Travion Henderson, who backs up all of the talk about him, like sort of being back to his normal self this summer.
I want to see a healthy Mike Hall playing as many snaps as possible.
7,
all of them. Leave him out there the entire game.
I hope he gets 7 and maybe triple it. What can happen?
Maybe.
I mean,
quadruple it.
You don't need to save him for Youngstown State or Western Kentucky. You want to disrupt a passing attack, but it's a Big Ten game. What happens if you let him go out there, if he is himself 100% physically ready to go? We saw him a couple weeks ago with the ankle taped, and that's training camp knocks. Those happen, but healthy version of him in a less of a rotation, getting out there to go out and do what he does. Like, we really haven't seen that since a year ago in September when he picked up that knee injury. So it's been too long because he's fun to watch at his best, and I want that opportunity.
Is St. Joe's prep where Marvin and Kyle went?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're on TV right now.
I was at IMG, St. Joe's. Yeah, I was just watching. I thought that was the case.
That's why Bill's distracted. Gotta watch the Philadelphia Catholic League.
Ball. That's right.
You know what else is great on Tuesday?
Oh, goodness. Tell us about it.
In honor of Jay-Z.
Here we go.
His favorite.
My favorite.
I thought that was Billy's favorite.
That's Linda's favorite.
Oh, he likes the fried pickles?
Oh, Linda loves. Oh, yeah, Dad loves the fried pickles.
Okay, I thought it was Bill's favorite.
No.
I've been hyping it up.
Linda's the mushroom girl.
Fried mushrooms today.
She loves
crispy
them.
on the outside, gooey and
I believe she said the best I've ever had.
Oh, wow.
Well,
ringing endorsement from Linda Zwick.
They're $3 all day long at Roosters.
Boom. Get in here, get them done.
You don't even have to wait because we're in here on a Tuesday. Just hop on the show and head on over to your local Roosters establishment. And also, the season started.
We know what that means.
Probably time.
I think there's 12. I think there's 12 weeks in the season, Bob. What do they do? What are they doing every week for 12 weeks?
The Roosters Bowl Trip giveaway.
Hey.
So they're going 12 games. There'll be 12 lucky winners. Trips for 2, tickets, airfare, deluxe hotel accommodations.
Deluxe.
Plus, there's other prizes you can get into. You go to roosterswings.com to register. And I don't see any of those sweet little napkins they had before. You come to Roosters and they had the little QR code. You could just bam, zap it,
Bing, bang.
and sign up there. So there's 12 opportunities to win for the 12 games. Winners will be announced each and every week.
Nicole's not here, but we got your back. We are ready for game action. We're going to take a quick break in here in the Horseshoe Lounge as our fun, casual conversation continues. Berm will be here, and we roll along in a fun, casual joint.
Roosters has been so fortunate. We just want to be able to give some of that back to the community.
They donate to organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long time.
They always go above and beyond to help support our foundation to further help veterans.
It's just a wonderful feeling to know that Roosters supports the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Welcome back in to the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters. It is a fun, casual joint, and the fun is about to begin because Berm is here.
You're saying Bill's not fun?
Well, I just trying to warm you up so that you have a good.
Just come in strong, and you
good
just
segment.
crushed it, and now it all just went to.
I'm a little
So I
bit.
guess not.
Negative Berm.
Yeah,
I'm a
jeez.
little perturbed.
Negative
Believe it or
Berm.
Oh, here
Oh,
we
here we
go.
go. Let's-
Yes, dig in.
See, I think
Berm
that
rant.
there's what Austin doesn't tell you, and that him and Bill, because on a day like today, a beautiful, beautiful late summer day, weather's perfect.
It's really nice.
We get huge news at the Ohio State press conference that we weren't expecting, and yet I have to spend upwards of an hour in the live chat on YouTube defending a decision that I can't understand why anyone would be mad about it.
because
one
you've been
way or the
hyping up
other.
Devin Brown to be the next guy.
That's everybody's heard. That was the word on the
I
street.
don't understand it. Why does anyone go into this without watching them play this weekend or the next 3 weeks have any actual personal investment in the outcome?
That's really the best. That's the best point is people are very opinionated on this
Without
they-
saying anything.
without any evidence at all. I mean, this is
Devin Brown did not even play in the spring game, so even get
that's what I'm
that piece.
saying. You've never really seen him play at all, and you.
But he's
what-
crazy athletic. That's what
Yeah.
everybody says.
But what you've seen of Kyle McCord, it's not like you've seen anything that would lead you to believe this guy can't do
Yeah.
it.
Threw for 300 yards in his only start that he made against Akron.
I don't know why Berm's saying I'm not
Because-
revealing this
be-
information.
well,
I've
because
told
you're
you
not
many
sitting there-
times you
I-
don't have to do it.
That's what the people want. They need me to be there to steward them through the process.
But you said you don't want to steward them
I
through
want
the process.
people to be rational. That's all. I want people to be rational.
Right.
You know
I want
what?
rational
Get outta here.
actors.
1990 called. Head
Grow
back
up.
there.
Grow up, Peter Pan. It doesn't happen anymore.
I want rational actors. I want people to say, you know what? I'm not sure about these guys, and we're going to find out more in the next few weeks.
Hey,
Like,
luckily, we have 3 games to see them both play.
that's the only response that makes sense. We all know
So-
that they're both highly rated recruits. They both come in with throwing a lot of touchdowns in high school and winning state championships and doing all the things you want. We've seen them not play against other teams in 2 years, really, since Kyle McCord started that game against Akron in week 3 of 2021. How does
That was 2 years.
What-
I was
why
thinking
does-
that
Yeah, it
last
was,
year.
yeah.
why does anyone have an opinion that is like hard and fast on this? I just don't.
Where
get
did they develop their opinion?
I-
You think
it. I
from listening to tchotchkes on
everyone
the internet?
like everyone has an opinion, and I get it. Like, but I don't think that.
Everyone's got a butthole too, Berm.
Well,
They all
not
stink.
everyone. There are some people who are just persecuted through life.
I've
Buttholes.
been-
bonus holes.
Oh boy.
How do you excrete your?
I'm sure they have a bag or something. That's not the point. The point is.
They're not fun.
The point is.
He's sure of it, he says.
Well, I mean, what are their logical?
Yeah.
They're not
Okay. All right.
puking
Fine.
it
Got to
up.
come out somewhere.
They're not puking it up.
That would be disgusting.
So the point is,
There's a movie about
there's
that.
no reason anyone should have a strong opinion one way or the other. Like, we all talk to people inside the program. That's the beauty of our jobs. You've watched every practice this
I
fall.
don't know about everyone, but I've seen them.
98%.
He did go on a birthday trip to get away
Not-
from it.
That's true.
He had to stop
98%.
thinking about the quarterbacks. I'm out of here. I'm going to the Bahamas.
98% of the practices you were at.
And I'm of the similar opinion of Ryan. Like, you told me to say who's definitively better. What practice did you want me to watch and evaluate?
It's just puzzling to me. I think it's awesome that we're going to get to see these guys go head to head for the next month. I actually, we talked about it ad nauseum in the last month. Like, oh God, that'd be such a bad idea. But now I'm like, you know what? I think this is the right way to handle it because you get a much different sense of what a quarterback is when the live bullets are flying. You're not going to be, your point about Devin Brown earlier is well made. Like, if people think that what separates him from Kyle McCord is his ability to make plays and get out of the pocket and do, then we need to see it. And we need to see it when he can actually get hit.
Yes.
If Kyle McCord's, if the thing that separates him is consistency and maybe being more accurate as a passer, we need to see it when the defense doesn't know what's coming. Because what we saw in the fall was a defense knowing every play and getting a lot of HOBs, So how do you get
What's an HOB, bro?
Hands on balls.
Hands.
That's why we're saying HOBs. We were trying to avoid this.
That's
Bob's
That's
about
that
to lean
HOB.
into that new stat.
well, I am. I'm
I
gonna
love those HOBs.
put an HOB card on my wife's nightstand.
HOB. So the question is,
Only one? How about a stack?
Well, you can reuse it. I'll laminate it.
What-
Good whenever you need it.
the question I have for you guys.
I'll make one for you, JC.
Yeah,
too.
thanks.
Give one to Ellen.
Yeah.
How does
perfect.
how does the team handle how does the team handle this, knowing that the quarterbacks are going to be a little bit on edge probably over the next couple weeks?
Defensively, I think, gosh, I would love to harass guys. It'd be so great. But I think it's a bunch of nice dudes out there. I think the receivers they want to see the best guy go out there and win. I don't think there's a team bias either.
Yeah.
Where sometimes you see they really like this guy, they really like that guy. I think they both see some inconsistencies out of the guys. The receivers have been very good at handling it because they
And
get
vocal.
and they've got the toughest questions, and they've talked and hey, this is what's happening, this is what's going on. We support both guys. I mean, they just want the best guy to play.
I think that happened a little bit, Bob. Sorry to interrupt. We talk so much about 2015 and if they were choosing sides or how Urban Meyer handled all that. But I really think 2017 was a more clear example of when people on the roster were like, we would really like Dwayne's upside, or Joe Burrow should be out there over JT. I thought that was a more fractious locker room.
Oh yeah,
I think 2012 was more fractious than 2015, and that's a year people will look back at and say there was no decision to be made. But I know very well that there were a segment of the locker room that would have preferred Kenny Guyton being the quarterback at times that year over Braxton Miller. You're going to get some divisiveness no matter what. But to your point, these guys don't see. There's nobody that has their personalities are different, but they're not. There's not one guy that's reclusive and doesn't talk to anybody. Kyle's a little bit more understated, but he's still very personal.
He's also been here longer,
Yeah,
so he knows people a little better.
He's confident. He's not Devin is a big personality, and that's why people are drawn to him initially, I think. But it's not like you see a sectioning off of the locker room. Oh, that's our guy.
No, and you are worried about that, and that's the one thing when you have these quarterback battles play out is seeing a schism in the team, and you never want to see that divide happen. And I don't think it has. I think a lot of it has to do with the way Mickey Marotti handles the offseason stuff, and he gave both guys leadership opportunities, and he spreads it around a lot so you can kind of see that, and everybody can see what these guys are. And really, they're both good dudes. And so that's the only thing. The guy that you throw an interception, you're pointing to your wide receiver, all right, nobody wants to see that. And so these guys, both guys understood. Offensive line had some work to do, and they weren't out there, throwing the ball in the ground when they got sacked and get pressured. So they handled it, and everybody saw it. They're both professionals. They're both leaders. They do a good job with it. And so I think that affords them the luxury of being able to do this and not worrying, come a week or 2 weeks from now, whenever it might be, that he picks a guy and there's going to be, it doesn't have to be 50-50. It could as much as 25-30%. That's a large portion of the team that's thinking well, this guy shouldn't be playing. And you're worried about that.
Which they don't have, right?
They don't have that.
They don't
I haven't
have
seen
that.
that.
and-
Do you think that's because this team specifically trusts this head coach specifically to make this decision? Because it seems like Ryan Day is uniquely positioned to make a decision at that spot at quarterback where the team will say, you know what? Look what he's done in the last 5 years. We can just trust that this is the right decision.
I think so. And he's also, and I think everybody's been, guys, they're watching the same film.
Well, that's what I was going to say. They see
stuff.
practice, they see what's going on. So it'd be almost like Ryan saying, well, we're going this way. And the team saying, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Just because he had one good practice today,
Yeah,
and we
but-
watched him not play. They've seen the inconsistency. So I think they realize this is the way, what you have to do.
Yeah. And so that way you're not going to get those receivers saying, man, we wish this guy was playing. It's like, hey, look, we got to do our best to help out whoever's in there because we're going to see how it goes in live bull.
And I definitely didn't think a month ago or even 2 weeks ago that I would say, well, now I'm on board with the benefit for that for Ohio State because, from my perspective, and this could be another Peter Pan situation, hopefully the media, myself, the fans, everybody can see it and say, well, here's a sample size. It was a relatively even opportunity. one's ahead. That's why he's the starter. And then you can put the rest of it behind and everyone gets on the same page. Maybe that won't happen in today's society. Maybe that's just too optimistic. But at least when it comes to the people inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, that should paint a clearer picture for them. Not that they may not need it. As you said, Jay-Z, and Bob, they're watching the same film. They already know the situation. But once you have an additional part, it wasn't like one of these guys won't have an opportunity to show what they can do. Yeah. And then you would think that would that would eliminate any of that divisiveness. I
think it will, because those guys are going to then watch the same film in the game and see how guys handle it. And if we talk about Devin's athleticism, how great it is, and whatever he's Michael Vick incarnate, I guess. But you also see a guy that, like, if he's escaping the pocket too early, he's not being patient in there. Like, that's also something that people seem like, if you would have hung in, then he would have done this and have an offensive tackle. Like, I'm blocking the guy. Why did you run around and give him a better angle to now come and sack?
To their benefit. I mean, they've been doing that all practice, all camp. So it is hard. Your mind almost gets trained. Like, I'm going to have to get out of here, and then when you actually do have that time, it's like, oh, something's wrong. I should be, it does mess with your clock as a quarterback. But to your point, we'll be able to see that. We'll be able to, all right, listen.
So you
got to be able to trust.
Yeah.
You got to be able to trust your guys in a game situation, and just know that they're going to do their jobs and be able to tell a lie. I think it's, when you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one, is what they always say. But with the games we have and their schedule, the way the schedule's set up, nobody's separated themselves. I think it's perfect to go out there and see what they can do against somebody else.
Talk about like the leadership element, the toughness. Like, well, the guy you'd be willing to hang in the pocket, take a shot, and push the ball down the field and deliver it the way that it needs to be. Like that's the hardest part about playing quarterback, and that's the one thing that you cannot replicate unless you're going to go full on live in practice, where you've got to step into something where you have pressure in your face, knowing I'm going to get hit. This is where the ball needs to go. It could be potentially a very big play because of it, and you've got to eat one. And not everybody's always willing to do that.
I said it on our preview show on Monday night. I do not buy the adage of if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. At this point. Now, if we get to September 24th and you're heading into South Bend and we're still having these conversations, I may change my tune on that.
Yeah. And how about Thanksgiving Day?
I would feel not good about it then either.
You would be sick.
I think that you have to take these next couple weeks as almost as a de facto preseason, and let the guys get like opportunities in the next 3 weeks till you can figure it out from here. Because we talked about this on Snap Judgment, but if you go into Saturday and Kyle McCord plays the first half and the Buckeyes end up leading 35-7 at half, Kyle McCord, did I get those backwards? However you get it. Whoever starts,
Kyle starts.
Kyle McCord starts. He goes out and the Buckeyes are leading 35-7. My brain just shut off. And then you get into the third quarter and then Devin Brown plays. It's not the same thing.
Oh.
So you need to find a way to make these opportunities, 1-to-1 as opposed to
this. You kind of do the quarter-ish deal. Maybe just let little Link play in the second half, The Legend of Zelda, and then you start one in one game and one in the other game.
I think that's what you go one half, second half, then flip them.
Yeah,
first half, second half.
I've heard of a coach who once let one player start one game and one start another game, and that's how he did it.
That's the idea that I'm into. That's honestly the but I understand.
You've been up there. You've been drinking the Kool-Aid.
I know I live there, for Pete's sake. I know there's a difference between
That's all they talk about.
Youngstown State.
You guys have bunk beds?
Trying to be a voice for the voiceless here, bro.
Someone's got to be. If Western Kentucky and Youngstown State are not the same, but they're kind of the same. I mean,
to Ohio State, they're the same.
Defensively, they're pretty much the same. Okay, like Western Kentucky's offense is pretty good, and they'll be a much bigger challenge for the Ohio State defense than Youngstown State will. But from a defensive standpoint, those teams are not that dissimilar. I think you will get a similar feel for how things go. Youngstown State is FCS. Western Kentucky defensively is an FCS school. Let's not kid ourselves.
So is USC.
I don't know that it's. I still maintain that it's not the same, and it wouldn't
it's
be
not
even
exactly the same, but it's close enough till you can get a sense. If you just let one,
unless Western Kentucky has Khalil Mack playing defensive end, I would say that they're similar-ish.
But if Marvin Harrison and Emeka Ibuka and Travion Henderson play in the second quarter against Youngstown State, something is very wrong. They shouldn't need. Got to bubble wrap them.
All this
talk. No way, coach. We're going for stats.
All this talk about
stat game.
We're winning personal awards this year.
Take me out here.
I'm trying to win the
reps and be ready for week 15 and stay fresh. That shouldn't be happening in the middle of games of consequence. You should be load managing against Youngstown State and Western Kentucky when you can.
I don't disagree, but that's why you play those guys first half, right? Devin gets the first half against Youngstown.
Because you also want them to get reps against live,
Because I want Tristan Jebbia and Lincoln Keynotes to play against those two teams. I know it's silly, but you get 4 games now before you got to burn a red shirt. I want Lincoln Keynotes playing in those 2 games. I want Tristan Jebbia playing in those games because you just don't know what the hell is going to happen throughout the season. So I want those guys playing. I want Lincoln Keynotes throwing passes in the second half against.
I want winners.
Well, you're not. I don't think you'll get that.
Can we get a great graphic when he becomes a starter of like the Legends of Zelda?
Easy, no problem.
I'm excited for that.
I'll get you that.
I'm a big Zelda fan.
8 o'clock tonight.
Oscarina of Time.
8 o'clock tonight.
Okay.
All right, let's set aside the quarterbacks and focus on Ohio State at Indiana. Is there anything?
It's like putting aside the turkey at Thanksgiving.
Well, yeah, you have to have
some good
stuff.
sides. Yeah, I mean,
some mashed potatoes.
Guy.
Let's have some mashed
Noodles.
potatoes.
Okay.
Or cranberry.
Corn
bake.
bake.
Concern. Is there anything about Saturday that has you concerned?
I'm hoping that Tom Allen, since it's the first game of the season, he's probably looking at this game as I can't get smoked. And the only way that I have any chance of competing is to pressure young quarterbacks, that he heats this thing up and to see what these guys can do against pressure. And whether that's breaking the pocket and running a little bit, buying some time and throwing it, just delivering it, getting through your reads really quickly. That's it right there. I think that is the concern. It wouldn't surprise me if he's, rushing 2 and rushing 6 or 7 in back-to-back plays. Like
right.
I could see him changing up so dramatically that, knowing that's the only pathway. Like they can't sit back there and just play base coverage and think that they're going to get there with 3 or 4 guys and that Marvin and Omeka, like they're not. Carnell,
but after you make them pay a couple times, they're going to say, "Well, that didn't work out so well."
From a concern standpoint, is the bigger concern when they do that it's going to be on the offensive line concern or the quarterback concern?
I think both.
Yeah,
I think
pick one.
I mean, that's the offensive line concerns turn into quarterback concerns when they get past that guy, and then he's got to make it. He has to.
And if the quarterback doesn't know where to go with it because if that guy comes, it's definitely
has to make a snappy J.
This isn't a bold predictions show, but I think Travion Henderson. I said on the radio this morning. I think he's going to have 200 yards rushing. I wouldn't be surprised if he has like a 75-yard touchdown, like on a screen pass in the first quarter of the game, because Indiana is going to go crazy, and that little outlet pass to Travion is going to be a big part of stopping that early.
He has what they call home run ability.
Breakaway speed.
He's got a burst.
He can take it to the house.
What's interesting is that Urban when I say prohibited the use of the tailback screen. So that would not have been in the game plan.
What's interesting is that Urban Meyer's offense was extremely outdated by the time that he turned it over to Ryan Day. So
imagine not completing that comeback.
Ryan snuck in that snuck in the screen.
Get the screen to J.K. Dobbins.
Why don't we ever throw? We have these great running backs. Why don't we ever throw to them?
Yeah, I do think that Ohio State has to do that a lot more, and you got to bring back the pop pass in the end around.
Ooh. Austin loves the pop pass.
I love it.
This guy pop pass people right here.
They've got some good stuff. They've got some good stuff in, man. I'm telling you, Ryan. When I watch their offense, I am very impressed with his ability to draw up plays, scheme where I'm like, oh, that's what he's doing right there, and it's a pretty easy. Jay-Z and I were talking like, it's a pretty easy read for the quarterback. Now here's the thing: you got to grip it and rip it. Okay, what we need is we should probably have Scotty Mack go in and talk to these guys before the game.
The gunslinger.
What if they just put the Monarch out there at quarterback?
Monarch is not very mobile.
Doesn't matter. It gets rid of the ball in time, though.
Yeah.
So
it'll
let it rip.
Here's one of my thoughts heading into this weekend is that I'm really hoping Jim Knowles is basic this weekend and for the next 3 weeks.
Basic.
I don't want to see the Ohio State defense doing anything crazy before Notre Dame. So I want to make sure you guys can go out there, cover pass receivers, tackle, and walk off the field with a 40-point win. Like that's what I want to see.
No big plays?
No big plays. You are not giving up that crap.
Give up a couple big plays to Indiana. It's going to be, people are going to be.
Go out there. You are way more talented than them. You have the deepest Ohio State defensive front, like 15 that we've seen in a long time. Like, go out there and do it. Maybe top 20. Go out there and just let the guys play football.
Let the boy watch. I like it. Hey, I'm with you. They don't need to show anything. They can go play base against these guys.
Should be.
And they should be able to play base and stuff them. A little pressure here and there, but I think this is a great opportunity where we talked about that D-line getting pressure. This should be an opportunity for them to get pressure with 4 guys.
23 incoming transfers for Indiana. This is a team that has no idea who they are. go out there and just shut it down early. That's what that.
Sounds
If
like a
that
team
doesn't
in-
happen,
sounds like a team in transition.
yeah, it is a team in transition, Bob. That's exactly what I was going to say. The point is, Ohio State has trailed at the halftime each of the last 4 times they've opened the season on the road. At when they played against Navy in 2014, at Virginia Tech in 2015, at Indiana in 2017, at Minnesota in 2021.
Wait, Virginia Tech in 15 they trailed?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Even after the Braxton.
Yep. That was third quarter.
Oh, was that? That was opening the second half? I thought, in my mind, that always was like the first play of the game.
So they trailed all 4 of those games at the half. I do not want to see that crap on Saturday. Like this team,
I bet you don't.
needs to come out and remind itself and the world of college football, but also Ohio State fans who they
Show
are.
them who you are.
I like it.
Go
You know
out,
what,
I
you know
think
what
they
I'd
will.
like to see? It's 3 things. Here's what it is. A mistake-free, opportunistic
Oh,
offense.
shoot me in
A
the head.
relentless defense and superior special units. I said that to Schleggs. He goes, I like that. I go, it's because I
Well,
stole
it's
from
because, yeah,
Press."
because we heard it every day for 4 years.
Did Schleggs not read his winner's manual?
He goes, I thought I'd heard that before. I'm like,
Ohio,
As soon as you started, I'm like, yep, here we go.
Ohio State did select a kicker today as well, right?
I think so.
did they make
yes.
that decision?
Fleming
Jaden Fielding.
or Fielding? Yes.
I thought they picked up.
Massive
I
upside.
thought
Turns out, I'm not going to say.
they picked up the
That's
dude
not
from
fair.
Turns out Parker Lewis can lose. We
He
get
was
it.
gonna say, yeah, you got it.
Can't lose with Lewis.
It's whatever. Kudos to Jaden Fielding for being a preferred walk-on last year as a true
Love it.
freshman, playing and then coming out and
Get the eye of the lantern, man.
Let's go, baby.
Kickers
Somebody's-
needed.
Kickers are important.
Somebody's got to go do that. That'll be something else to watch on Saturday.
It's got to be somebody's baby.
Yeah. By the way, the best version of that song is Phantom Planet, and it's probably the best cover of all time. Somebody's baby. They couldn't hear it on the mic, but you'll never get it out of your head now for the rest of the day.
Oh, that's
this
great.
is one of the reasons why I'm so glad that this road trip we're actually making separately on Friday, driving 2 cars over, because I don't want to hear that song.
How dare you?
And I know that that's your go-to.
Because they're taking 2 cars.
But yeah, it
Not
doesn't
to
make
the
sense.
stadium, and it's the last song we have to hear before we go in.
Doesn't make
That's
sense.
how you get ready.
It's like the white
You
shirt.
guys just
over
don't
here.
care about the
It doesn't make sense for
climate
us to
or anything.
drive,
You're driving 2 cars.
I don't want to drive down to Columbus and then drive over to Indy.
Zip right down.
Take 24 straight over.
You got a lot of great opportunities here. I mean, there hopefully 4 trips to Indiana for you. I mean,
Oh, can't wait.
Loves
the
leaving
Hoosier,
Michigan.
it's the Hoosier State.
We get Notre Dame, we get Indiana, we get Purdue, and then Big Ten title game. It's a
It's not in Vegas this year, the Big Ten title game?
not yet. No.
No, that's down the road.
Yeah.
Berm can't wait to drive to that one.
Yeah, no
Hell
doubt.
That's an easy.
It'll
flight.
start
I
after
like
Thanksgiving.
flying. That's a great idea. Honestly, if we just took a road trip across America
No.
and brought the show on the road.
Oh, yeah,
just
that'd be
stopped in.
great.
I'm not driving.
You let me know
anywhere
where
with
I'll,
you
I'll
anymore.
fly in.
I want to.
All that blasphemy against Phantom Planet.
I want to go through Pierre, South Dakota, and stop in at the home.
Wait,
of
they're,
Lincoln
are they the
Peoples.
ones that did the OC theme song, right?
That's right.
That's amazing. They have a cover of that?
It's the best cover.
It's
in
actually pretty good, but we just heard it a lot.
Listen,
I
I'll
have
tell you
no
this.
idea what you're talking about.
Laura
100% of the time.
once
it works every
heard
time.
Jay-Z will remember this because we used to play a lot of James Blunt in the weight room back in the day.
Of course, why
Very
not?
true.
Why would
'Cause,
you
I mean,
not?
little Gavin
You're
DeGraw,
beautiful.
Dave, yeah,
That
it
was, you know what I mean?
and so we used to play that. So I could sing. He had a nice cover of Ricky Raccoon, by the way. We would play it all the time. And somewhere between Chicago and Milwaukee, there was a CD that was ejected from his car. And Laura punched it out and threw it out the window. He just had played it about 8 times on repeat.
Well, if Berm throws my phone out of the car, we're going to have a different problem. But we will be on the road Saturday in Bloomington, Ohio State at Indiana. Cannot wait for a game to talk about and break down.
We've
Roosters-
been on the run, driving in the sun, looking out for number 1.
California.
Here we come. That's the Rose Bowl. All right. Yeah, that's the show. Roosters is closed on Labor Day so that their employees
Be with their families.
can
That's
be with
right.
their families. So we will be in here in the Horseshoe Lounge next Tuesday as well. We'll talk about Ohio State and Indiana in its entirety with Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter, Jeremy Birmingham, and Bill Landis. I am Austin Ward. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week and enjoy the opener.